A fun show as always, Commanders family. We're starting off the show with some highlights from Minicamp. Then, Coach and Logan Paulson get into the film room to break down 1-7 Terry McLaurin. Then, we are hitting the field to talk all things QBs. And Commanders family, it all
starts now.
What? Welcome into Command Center, presented by SeatGeek, the official primary team partner of the Washington Commanders. What's good, Commanders family? Brian Coble Jr. here with Santana Moss, Fred Smoot, and we got the boy Sean Springs in the building. So he missed his best friend Logan, so we had to bring in his second best friend to the show, man. We're glad to have you here, and we got a lot to get into. Everybody saw the Jaden Daniels pitch. He was able to pitch at the national game, threw the first pitch. Now, Tanner, back in your day now, you threw a pitch or two, right?
It was in the minor leagues.
Oh, okay.
You know,
all right.
I didn't get in the major leagues, and it was crazy because I was so nervous, and I got across the plate. So that was one of those things where I got it done. It didn't look good, but hey, you know, they gave me a little love for it.
No, it happens. I think people don't understand how high that mound is. And you got to realize you're throwing down at an angle. And what I did was I tried to throw too hard. I tried to give them that premium unleaded gas. And the ball got away from me. You know, it happens.
Hey, man, mine bounced like about 10 times. I ain't gonna lie. I got up there way too confident. It didn't work out like that.
Well, fellas, it's not just watching Jaden throw baseballs. We get to see him throw footballs because Minicamp has begun. Let's take a look at Jaden Daniels throwing that rocket. Terry McLaurin, number 1-7.
Scary Terry.
We got to get used to seeing this matchup right here. Right here is what I want to see.
You got to love this. And you know what? We got Marcus Mariota highlights too because there is a quarterback competition. And this is Marcus Mariota to our new guy, Ben what, Fred?
Sinnott.
Sean, man, watching a guy like Ben Sinnott on this team, man, you had to cover some big boys, man. That's a monster right there.
I mean, big target. The quarterback's best friend is a tight end, especially when you got in the red zone, but he's long, rangy guy. Ooh, I wouldn't want to cover him.
Crazy catch radius, and that's what you want. Safety guard.
Big dude, and you don't have to worry about, you know, when you see those guys change off the field. Ertz go down and he come in.
Yeah, it's not a big drop.
It's not a big drop.
And this is, talk about Ertz, talking about these guys that we added through rookie class, through free agency. Damiere Byrd, a new weapon for Marcus Mariota. As you see him scramble, he's going to connect with Damiere Byrd, another guy that might be able to make some plays for this offense, guys.
Yeah, one of the things about this time of the year that you just need bodies. You know, you want to see who's going to be one of those guys that we can count on coming into training camp. And then in training camp, you're going to make a, you know, I guess you can say a stance for yourself and say, hey, I belong here.
Give yourself a chance. And that's what I think he's doing.
A lot of new pieces, a lot of weapons, a lot of toys for our new head coach, Dan Quinn, to play with. And actually, we heard from the head coach, DQ. Let's take a listen.
A lot of people would say this is as the end of the off-season program. In a lot of ways, I see it as just our beginning and what we can be about and what we have. I think over the last 2 weeks, I felt this momentum shift. A lot of install had been in, you know, through the first part of the off-season program. And now that those installs are going down, you're seeing the skill and the execution going up. And it's been really exciting to see. So I'm thrilled with the guys. They've really put in the work. We started way back, I think it was April 2nd with the veterans. And then we added the rookies into that group. And they really wanted to find out, the veterans did, you know, are they for real? And how can they help us? And they absolutely answered that challenge in a very big way. So it's a fun group to coach.
Great to hear from our head coach. And fellas, gotta imagine he is excited about all of these weapons on his offense. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the tight ends. Fred, take it away.
Zach Ertz is going to be that guy that not only be the lead dog in that room, but he gets to teach the Ben Sinnots of the world how to get things done and how to be that safety valve. And that's what you want. You want a deep room. You got Rodgers in there. You got a couple of guys they're going to have to figure out how they're going to make this roster.
And that's one of the things that stand out. When you have a leader like Ertz, a veteran, a guy who's done and play on a high level, it's going to be, I can't say easier, but it's going to probably be a more smoother transition for the young guys like a Ben Sinnott and the other guys who there, Bates and those guys. You know, Bates, you know, his feet a little wetter now because last year was kind of like one of those years that we was talking about the year before was kind of fresh, you know, a fresh start from him. But it's great to have a Ertz in there because he's going to bring so much leadership and those guys are going to have no choice but to just soak it all up.
And flexibility. When you have tight ends, it gives you an opportunity to mix in with the good receiving core. Every good receiving core has a strong tight end down the middle. So all the things you guys mentioned about leadership, the young Sinnott being talented, their size, when you have that down the middle, opens up the outside.
It does.
And Sean, since you mentioned flexibility, I'm gonna stick with you because we have a two-headed monster in that backfield with Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson Jr. How are you feeling about that backfield?
I love the backfield. The 1-2 punch, obviously you got a hammer back there in Brian Robinson, but Austin Eckler, most people don't know, since he's been in the league, it's been one of the most prolific third down running backs, catch out the backfield, so he is strong and a great weapon to have, third and short.
Yeah, thunder and lightning. I mean, that's one of the things. I want to see it again. I remember the Giants when they had the thunder and lightning going on with Tiki and all those guys. But man, I just think for what both of those guys can do, we get enamored by how B-Rob can run the ball, and last year he showed us how well he can catch out the backfield. If you think somebody can catch out the backfield that's special, Austin Eckler. He just alluded to it. This guy is dynamic when he get the ball in his hand. And not only just catching out the backfield, he can run between the tackles. Also has great vision. So he's one of those guys that he need to spill him for a couple of downs. Best believe he can run the ball as well.
You know what? I like the thunder and lightning, but I don't think it. I think it's lightning and lightning. I think both of these guys can do everything.
Yes.
B-Rob showed us last year, throw me the ball. I can do that. I can run A gap, B gap, C gap. And Eckler can do it all. So I think they're going to go with the hot hand. I think they're going to say, is this game built for more of a downhill game? So let's get B-Rob more of the ball. And don't forget this. B-Rob is one of the best pass blocking running backs in the league, and Eckler has been known for that since he's been in the league.
And Fred, to your point, we saw B-Rob take it to the end zone, catching the ball. So again, them guys can do it all. Speaking of guys can do it all, our wide receiver room. Tanner. I think all the fans are looking at that wide receiver room and wondering how it's going to pan out, especially with that depth chart. How excited are you to see this wide receiver room develop and grow?
I can't wait. I think when you look at a guy like Terry, he's special. We was just talking about him, how special he is. He's just a guy that, who he reminds you of? You say James Thrash?
Thrash.
We had a guy,
faster Thrash.
A faster Thrash. Just, he's going to outwield his guy every time, And then you have a young Jahan Dotson that last year we wanted to see a little more of him. I think this year he's already been out there. He talked to us earlier this year and told us, man, he's been in the lab making sure that he can come, year 3 and really put up some big numbers. And then you got, the young kid that just came in, Luke is in the house. The pedigree. It's in his genes. So I'm just looking to see who's going to stand up. And then we can't forget about Brown. We can't forget about Crowder. Crowder's the guy that showed us when we depend on him, man, he can go out there and show up. And I think he still has a lot of tread on those tires. But I think they have a special thing going there, man. You just don't know who's going to be the guy outside of those main 2 or 3 guys.
Bobby Ingram. We got to give a shout out to Coach. You talking about developing talent. You talking about played at a high professional standard. He going to keep those guys there. They're talented. Now they just need the right coaching and offensive play caller to keep them accountable.
I think, they got they do-it-all type guy in Terry. You got your smooth route running Jahan. You got your jack-of-all-trades and Luke McCaffrey. And, they talk about the top 3 guys, but we got to talk about who's going to end up at the bottom of their wide receiver roster. And what separates them sometimes is what Crowder does, and that's special teams. Special teams is going to be their position. That guy might be a better receiver than this guy, but if this guy plays better special teams, he'll have a chance to make this roster. So I think it's a well-rounded room, but I don't know where the ceiling is yet with that room.
And fellas, y'all bring out Terry, but it's that leadership too that makes him the perfect guy for somebody like Luke McCaffrey. And Luke's been getting game way before he ever got on this roster. Now Luke pulled up to the studio for Raising Hell with the Rookies and talked about all that and how his fathers, his brothers helped pave the way for him. What's good, Commanders family? Brian Coble Jr. here, and I'm here to raise hell with our new rookies. And we got a special one for you right now. We got a McCaffrey in the building. Luke McCaffrey, bro, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, we're so excited to have you, man. We know you're busy, man. We know you're out on that field. So how's it been, man? Rookie minicamp, man, you gotten through it, man? How's it been?
Oh, it's been a blast.
Yeah,
it's so fun. I mean, you spend the whole time in the combine getting ready to run a race, getting ready to, jump, do all that, but to finally be on the field and to finally have a team that you can get close with and bond with, it's a blessing.
It is a blessing, man. And let's go back to that draft night. First of all, congratulations, man. We know it's a big deal.
Thank you.
Making it this far, a dream come true. And Adam Peters said it on the phone call. He said, your brother Christian, man, he texted me, said, you better get my brother. How cool is it to share that moment with your brothers and also have that type of support?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I mean, my brothers growing up, I have 3 older brothers. They're all my best friends.
That's awesome.
And so we grew up so close, and to see each other have success. My brothers have been lucky enough to have some success, and then to kind of be able to support each other is just the best thing in the world. We were able to compete, to do all that growing up, and now we get to compete in a different way and continue to just have fun and support each other.
And I can't imagine what growing up in a household like that is like, right? Because it's all athletes, and then your dad's an athlete as well. So you guys are probably competing for everything.
Yeah, my mom's an athlete as well, too.
So, I mean, that's insane. So it's probably just competitions through
Yeah.
everything, man. What advantage does that give you growing up in a household like that?
Oh, it gave a ton. You know, I can't use this quote enough, but it's the biggest blessing that I never earned.
Wow.
Right? There was nothing I ever did for it, nothing that I could have done to put those people in my life, but I was blessed with, you know, the best role model that I could ever imagine for myself and my dad. And then to watch my three brothers follow in his footsteps in different ways, and then to be able to kind of learn something from each of their journeys. And then, you know, our mom holds us all together. She's kind of the glue, the rock, and so that family atmosphere is just such a blessing, such a gift that I got.
McCaffrey spent his first 2 seasons in college as a quarterback for the University of Nebraska, but changed to receiver after transferring to Rice. In 2 seasons as a receiver at Rice, McCaffrey racked up 129 receptions, over 1,700 receiving yards. No one better to talk about our NFL brother duos like our very own Santana Moss and his brother Sonoris. Welcoming in Sonoris Moss. No, that's not Santana twice. That is his younger brother Sonoris Moss, Super Bowl champion and former Giant. Welcome into the show, man. How you doing, brother?
Hey, man, I'm doing great, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course, we have to have you, man. We had Luke on just before you, and he was talking about how much not only his dad did, but what his brothers did for him being one of the younger guys. What did watching your big brother, Santana Moss, thrive in college, thrive in the NFL, do for you?
I mean, it was a daily motivation for me, man. I mean, when Santana did everything that he was doing, man, every day I knew that I can do it too. It was, you know what I'm saying, it was constant motivation for me knowing that, you know, if he was doing it, I knew I can do it. I mean, waking up every day, we competing outside, we competing in the house, we playing throw up tackle in the house, breaking stuff. We going outside, he's pushing us, man. We running around the neighborhood, beating everybody on football, man. I'm like, yo, Tanner can do it, I can do it, man.
Sonoris, I gotta ask you, man, because I done chased your brother through practice a long time. and he's always been known for his elite speed. Right now, at a Moss family reunion, who is the fastest Moss brother? Tell me now.
I think I got it, bro.
I think I get
Oh, really?
Wow, Tanner said the same thing.
I think I get the nerve. I mean, he was a more stronger, different type of runner.
Yeah.
I was that short sprint runner. I'm the 40, I'm the 50, 60 sprint.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Sonoris always had that quarter in him. You know, I hated the quarter. That's one of the reasons why I didn't run.
Yeah.
That's why I opted out to jump, and I became a state champion at jumping because I didn't want to run in practice. You know what I mean? But I give the nerve.
So Norris, so you got a big brother, you following in his footsteps, but a lot of times brothers may say, well, I'm going to go do my thing somewhere else. But you went to Miami right after your brother, man. What was that like?
I mean, I wanted to stay home, man. I seen the culture of what University of Miami was. I mean, being down there in the dorm rooms with my brother, being in the locker room when I was like, you know what I'm saying, in early days in high school, I was like, this is where I want to be. Of course, I had other offers. I had other scholarship offers coming in. But, man, Miami was home, and I'm glad. I made the best decision, man, to stay home.
Was it scary to try to walk in his footsteps, though? Because I find my kids don't want to do the exact thing that I did. Was it scary? Like, all right, here come another Moss. Can you be as good as your brother? Because you know that's what they say.
Yeah.
I mean, of course. I mean, I heard it every day, man. But I always knew, like, I wasn't Tanner. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, I was still my own person. So I just went out there and did what I did, man. And every opportunity I had, man, I seized it, man, and made big plays, bro.
Hey, I was telling the guys how interesting, you know, it was back in the day when we would come outside to play, and if me and Lloyd was on the team already playing sandlock ball, the guys be like, well, you can't be on their team. Or vice versa, when we come outside and no one picked the team, I'm always the guy that's picking the team. They're like, well, you can't pick your brother. And I'm like, all right, you take Nori, I get Lloyd.
Yeah.
How was that, like, you know, I never asked you, because like I say, we don't talk football. We don't talk about no championships. We don't talk about nothing, you know, when it comes to that. Yeah. You know, how was that for you as a kid? Because I knew who you were as a kid, and I used to be, you know, I ticked off sometimes, like, this motherfucker, you know. But what was it like to you? Was it like one of those points where you're like, man, I don't want to follow him. I want to set the tone and be my own self? Or was it just like, hey, I want to play against him because I just want to dominate my brother? Because, yeah, he's the big brother, but I want to go out there and show him that, you know, I could be better.
I don't think I looked at it like that at that early age. I know when it first started happening, I was like, dang, I want to be on the same team as my brothers. But I also knew, like, the advantage that we had. Like, if all three of us were on the same team, bro, we can do everything no matter what. So if I'm on that team too, they had no chance of even competing with them. So by me being on the other team, you know, so they got a speed guy over there. I can make plays. I was probably pretty much doing everything anyway on the other team. So that's why we couldn't all be on the same team. So I never really felt like, hey, let me go play for this other team so I can outdo my brother, which was fun because we were competing. I always wanted to be on the same team too, but you know, it is what it is, man.
Got you. It's so cool looking at you guys like talking, man, and reminiscing and stuff like that. And we want to reminisce with you guys. So we're going to pull up a couple pictures and we just want y'all to just talk about what y'all think and feel when y'all see them, man. Let's pull up that first one.
This was maybe the first game in Washington for myself, because I think the first time that we played against each other, you played in New York and I didn't play that game. That was my rookie year. And I think this was maybe later on. I think this was later on my rookie season when we played y'all in that night game. And this is the picture from that. Yeah, man. So, yeah, man, looking at this, man, all I can do is smile, man. Honestly, man, you talk about two brothers, man, from Liberty City, man, that moved to Carrot City, that worked their tails off, bro, to get to this, that had dreams and aspirations to being here. My brother did it first, man, and me coming behind Santana and being able to be on the same field with him. Different teams, but being on the same field, man, that's a huge accomplishment.
I can tell you one thing I hated, and I never brought up is the fact that the Giants always beat us. He was always on that team, and I'm like, God,
just on the sideline grinning.
Hey, but when we did beat them that one time, I remember one of them pitchers probably gonna show up. I'm like this.
But I want to know, do Nori ever drop the Super Bowl ring at the family table?
Hey, you know what? Never, man.
Wow.
Never. It's just one of those things, like I say, you know, we just never really cared about that stuff. As much as I wanted to play ball, and that was my goal, I kind of shared that with my brothers. Always that's the way that we bonded, because when I'm outside, they got to come follow Big Brother.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm doing. So that's one of the things that I've always, you know, cared about most. But when it came to accolades, as long as we was doing what I set out to do, I was happy.
Last photo. Ooh, look at these clean
professional, man.
Right here.
The boy is doing a movie together,
man.
Billy D. Williams. Right.
Sonoris, when you see something like this, what does it make you think, like, man, how far have we come as men? You know, you see you guys in Miami. You see you guys in the NFL. Now you guys are distinguished businessmen. You guys have your own careers. You guys are fathers. Yep. What is this like, man, looking at this and how far y'all came?
I mean, I love it, man, because to be honest with you, Santana's not really big on suits, bro. He's not a suit.
We all know that.
That's all me, man. So, you know, me, what I'm wearing, that's me all day, every day, bro. Like, if you talking about putting on a suit, I'm going to put it on. And that's how they say put it on, I'm going to put it on. But to see my brother in this suit, this picture especially, man, it's a great picture, man. So seeing both of us, it's clean.
Y'all boys was casket clean, man. We love that, man. Y'all look good. And last question, man, because like I said, you guys are businessmen. You guys are not NFL players anymore, but you guys are still very active. What do you have going on before we let you go, man?
I mean, if anybody don't know, man, I'm an actor, man. I'm in the entertainment space, bro. I'm in front of commercials. I have maybe 40 plus commercials, man, that I've done in my career since I've stopped playing in the NFL. I was just recently in the Best Man Final Chapters, which was maybe like a year and a half ago. I was in episode 7 and 8. I just did American Horror Story, season 12. I was in episode 2 of that. I have a few more commercials that's coming out soon, man. Some more feature films and some more TV shows, man, that I can't say the titles of them yet.
Awesome.
But you can be able to see them.
That's so funny that you went into acting, but your brother, every day we come to work, he just comes in here singing the whole time.
Guess what? He's the singer.
Yeah, I know it.
He's the singer.
See, but what you guys have to realize,
man.
Santana performed and did all of this stuff when he was younger. So you guys maybe don't know that.
Wow.
So Santana had a group in elementary school where he performed songs.
Boys to Men?
Popcorn Love and Mr. Telephone.
Color me back.
Was Santa part of a boy band?
Hey,
I mean, man, he was in a group.
Wow.
You ain't tell us you was in a group.
We can't tell him everything, Nuri, especially this dude.
I mean, it's natural for him to walk in there and sing. I mean, all of us do, man. My parents do the same thing.
We do it.
Mom and dad sing. My son, he walks around singing every day. I do the same thing. It's a part of us, man. That's who we are. You know what I'm saying? So,
It's in our genetics.
Yep.
Well, Sonoris, we need to have you on more because, man, now we're learning about Tanner, man. Let me tell you,
man.
Fred's never going to let Tanner live that.
More than the 5 tops.
Sonoris Moss, thank you so much for your time, brother, man. Just know you are welcome to come kick it with us at any time, man, and we cannot wait to see you on these new TV shows, man. Hopefully it's Power or something like that, man.
Hey, man, you speak it to existence, bro. Let's get
Amen.
it.
Amen, yo. Thank you so
Definitely,
much.
man.
And now, let's send it over to Logan Paulson and Coach, who are ready to break down some film.
Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We had a really fun opportunity to talk about our guy, Terry McLaurin. You know, he's the guy that you inherited from the previous staff, but I think is a pretty gosh darn football player. And here's some things that I think he does well, right?
Yeah, and man, it's really cool to coach him.
Yeah, I bet.
Going against him for a number of years, you're like, hey, man, this dude's a problem.
Yeah.
And how we're going to match him, who's going to go against him, the route running, the toughness,
Absolutely.
the ability to finish. The ability to catch deep balls, which not everybody can do. Like, he's got the whole package. So, yeah, I can't wait to talk about it.
100%. So here's some plays, a figure that kind of shows some of those things you just talked about. So I think this is cover 3. It's hard for me to tell. They kind of rotate down to it late, maybe like a lurk or something like that. Terry's got a post, and you know everyone says, "Oh, post," run it like it's drawn on a piece of paper. But I love kind of the detail that he's bringing here, right? Post kind of attacking this space, but I think he does a lot of stuff early on in this route to kind of say, "Hey, man, I'm giving my quarterback a shot at this thing."
Yeah, and the stress can happen on a route.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when you see a receiver drop their weight, are they going to stop and run comebacks? Where do their eyes go?
Yeah.
For certain routes. So for someone like Terry, this post that he's going to run, there'll be other routes that come off of that that look exactly the same. And if you aren't disciplined, he is going to make you pay. And so you can see the detail coming out, shoulder square, digging for it, in breaking, the out breaking, thinking that he's going to run a corner to try and get the ball outside. So now the corner has to adjust, open his hips to be ready for this corner to go, and now to go back to a field post. Like, this is an incredibly hard route to stop.
I'm really glad you brought that up because everyone thinks, oh, it's just a post, right? But like he's running a blaze out stem here too.
That's
he
correct.
can get to the out, he can get to the post, and some like an inexperienced guy's going to stem way in here, tip this off, let this guy break on this, right?
Yes.
And so it just shows a level of experience, which is great, and that's awesome, right? Because that's something that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But what does show up on the stat sheet is a guy who I think is pretty gosh darn competitive at the catch point, Coach.
Yeah, and as a defensive coach, you call these plays 50-50 balls, all right? Thinking, all right, I'm coming down, but throwing it to Terry, it ain't 50-50.
It's not 50-50, no doubt.
It's a lot stronger than that. But I think all the things that lead up to the catch point are what makes this play special, because this one, as you had said, there's routes that come off of that. 3 different routes could come at the top of that route.
Yeah.
You've heard the term, what happens at the top of a route?
Sure, yeah.
This is the top of the
100%.
route. And so how does a player work inside, outside, in breaking, out breaking, comebacks? And if he can make those first 10 to 12 yards look the same, man, the stress that takes place, it's legit.
100%. Something I want to ask you is, like, when you see a play like this, do you say, oh, man, that's bad defensive ball or good offensive football? Because anytime I see a defense make a play, I'm like, that's just terrible offense. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have that same kind of thought or no?
Usually, like, when you're game planning, this play would show up early. Because you'd want to say, you look at a team's explosive plays, how are they creating these big plays? And so this post, this action against this specific coverage, like, this is a real problem.
Yeah.
And so knowing when you're a corner, watching somebody all week long, okay, I know when he's running comebacks, he really sinks his weight.
Right.
And Terry really is disciplined in this. And in my past, there was a player that was really fantastic. That was Julio Jones, where he could stop so aggressively, Logan, as you remember, where he didn't have to drop his weight so much.
I remember
to
the
turn.
ground shaking, like when he run his comebacks. That's how hard his feet would go on the ground. So aggressive.
And so that's what makes it challenging.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that run this route all over the country in pro ball and college ball and high school ball. But it's the detail that goes into it that makes it come alive.
100%. And the other thing I love about it is, like, he does, that's great, right? And then, Jaden Daniels, big kind of deep ball thrower. We're going to get some type of spacing concept up here, like the classic, like, over the ball, sit. And then we got, like, a kind of an adjustment down here by number 1, right? If you get press, take it vertical. As a defensive coach, I think you probably feel pretty good about this matchup, maybe. I don't know. But anytime it's press and the receiver has some flexibility, how do you handle that?
Yeah, and so why do you press and why do you get on the line of scrimmage is to make the releases harder. And so most often the guys who are good press players have length. Yeah. And so oftentimes we, in NFL world and others, think of length, well, he's 6'1" or 6'2", but really it's also the wingspan level. To say, like in the NBA, if I'm, my wingspan's 74 and I'm 72 inches, I'm +2. So now, if you got to go wider to get around me, as opposed to that free access that you saw. So what happens in press, getting on the line, making someone release and work the different releases. So when you get a formation like this, 4-by-1, what the offense is really trying to do at the end of the day is create a number of people to one side to flood the field to find
this matchup, right?
Yes.
This guy down here. And again, offensively, that's what you want, right? He's a guy that can kind of win these matchups. That's a pretty good corner right there, had a good rookie year.
Yep.
And I love this, with a young player, young quarterback, as an offensive player, this is not something I love seeing. You know what I'm saying? But you got to have the courage to kind of go get this done for your quarterback.
That's absolutely the word that I use to say, as a middle field safety, they want to be able to go sideline to sideline. So they're reading the quarterback, Logan, is here. And so he's already starting to go. And as you know, playing against QBs, the ones that can look off a safety and come back to another side. So you'll have seen on some other throws, if you go back one more time, please, where a quarterback may look to the four-man side to hold a safety to go.
To help the receiver out a little bit, right?
Because they know, man, I know it's middle field. I know and I got my guy. And so I'm going to go rip it to him. But I think you're right. You said the courage to go. And this is what the NFL is, man. There's contested catches and throws all over the place. And that just shows to this player's toughness and, the ability not just to, get on top of the receiver, but, possessing the ball all the way through. This is a tough play.
Yeah. Well, Coach, can't wait to see this guy make some plays for you this season.
Yeah, he is going to make a bunch of them.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
All right.
It's time for Terry's Lucky Numbers, presented by Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today, but please play responsibly. Now, let's take a look at the career numbers for our number one receiver. 378 receptions, over 5,000 receiving yards, and 25 touchdowns. And don't forget, 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. An impressive career so far for Terry McLaurin, and we all expect big things this year. Not only for Terry, the superstar receiver, but also Terry, the leader and savvy vet. Here's to hoping Terry can get his 5th consecutive 1K season. Now, let's send it down to the field where our guys are standing by at practice.
It's time for Just Chill, brought to you by Steam Fitters.
Just chill. Steam Fitters. UA Local 602 provides the highest HVAC and mechanical piping services.
This your boy 8 to the 9. I'm out here with 2 of my former cornerbacks, Bluefoot, Sean Springs himself, and the mouth of the South, Fred Smoot. We at practice, we're talking about quarterbacks in this period right here. Right over to the left of us, we got Driscoll over here, we got Hartman. 20-something feet away, or yards away, you have the young Jaden Daniels and you have Mariota. What are some of the things that these guys, and I'm talking to you guys because you're defensive backs, what are some of the things you guys are looking at when you're trying to study these quarterbacks and knowing that you got to get yourself ready for the season, but with your own guys?
Yeah, well, it's amazing to see. Most people, they think they know how good NFL quarterbacks is until you see them throw on air. The ball would not touch the ground. They throw on perfect go routes, slants, curls. All the routes are so accurate. So I love to see how these guys have touch and they feel. And I like to see early in practice with the quarterbacks how they feel that day, what type of swag they're coming out on the field with.
Well, I also want to look at the release. I want to see how much effort does it take them to throw 35, 40-yard balls. The one thing about quarterbacks is their release, that wind up is how we break on balls. Where if you see Jaden, his is so fast and so effortless that he'll have a harder ball for you to break on. But we actually looking at the quarterback, look how comfortable he is dropping the ball in there. But we also watching these wide receivers and these tight ends to see who can get down the field fast.
We was coming on the field. We had a little moment with Joe Theismann. We were talking about how much we talked about him last week. Another question for you, Fred. And Bluefoot, you can chime in too on this. Do you gauge, saying when you're watching these guys on air, do you kind of gauge when you're in the game with those guys or going against them in the live period, okay, well, he can't throw past 40 or he only can throw the ball? Do you have that in your head,
we do.
how far he can get the ball
because
out?
Once we study in the film, to see you in real action is to actually see it. And that's why I said I want to see effort. How much effort does it take for you to get that ball, to push that ball? And we played with Todd Collins. The one thing we knew about the Chief, he didn't have the strong arm, but he going to let that ball go once you leave that line, right, that ball gonna leave his hand quick. So it also it puts a clock in your head. Guys with a strong arm can throw late balls.
And for me, it's about the type of balls guys throw. I know some guys are more comfortable throwing outside the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, those guys got strong arms. They can throw it down the field. And then there's some guys you play against or you see in practice, no matter how well you cover the receiver, those guys are going to put the ball on the opposite side.
Where you at?
Then they got the touch and they got the feel. So it's, I think, every quarterback has things they need to work on, and we start to pick up tendencies. But their job is to try to figure out how to get better each throw.
You know, it's funny hearing you guys talk about them because, you know, I'm always asked the question, how was it for me as a receiver? And I played with 14 different quarterbacks in 14 years, and trust me, these are the times when you get your best work with the guys. During the off season, mini camps, OTAs. This is where I got my feel for them, because you don't really get that feel throughout the season. You don't get a chance to get reps from everybody. So these practices was very critical for a guy like myself, mentally and physically. Physically, I want to get out there and get into action with you. You know, I can gauge the ball, see how it's coming, how hard it's coming, how soft it's coming. Do I need to run certain ways when I'm running deep balls with you? But also mentally, just to have confidence in that guy, because you never know what happens throughout the season. Somebody might be tossing the game and you hadn't had a rep with them, so you got to go to work. But I love this period.
Let me ask you, when you're doing the one-on-ones, and your quarterback put a ball somewhere and you running a fade route or something, do you go back as a receiver and say, you know what, I would like it if you put that on my left shoulder because I would rather catch it there than putting it over my right shoulder?
I will only do that if I feel like it's needed. I'm one of those guys. I never was the diva, so I never cared about where you threw it. I had to make the play. And I put myself in those situations because I knew in the game it's not going to be perfect. So I'd rather just make the play. And then if it's something that I feel like, well, Coach say this red line here, you see how we have this little red line on the field? That line is on the field for most of the time when we have those go routes and those routes outside like comebacks and out routes. That line is there for that reason. So if it's something thrown inside when I'm making my break, or if I'm running a go route and he's keeping it inside that line, that's when I will have those talks. But most of the time, if you're throwing the ball in my vicinity, 9 times out of 10, I should come down with it.
Santana, we talk about the nonverbal communication that we have on the defense side of the ball, and we play together. What is that like to be on the same page as a quarterback? Like you kind of look at him and you got to nod. Like, what is that like? Like, walk us through that.
It's like no other. That's one of the reasons why I talk so much. I talk so highly about older quarterbacks. Veteran quarterbacks, I didn't have to tell them nothing. I would leave the huddle, and Mark Brunell would say, Tanner, stay open for me backside. I might be coming to you. But he knew I'm going to be open. And when I looked, the ball's in the air already. He just letting me know that I'm coming to you first read. You know what I'm saying? Those was the guys that just had the game down to a science and knew, man, this is guy here. He's going to have one-on-one backside with the coverage that they showed us. I'm going to my man. And when you have the young guys, which I play with, so many of them, it was like one of those things, man. That's probably when I had my most stressful times. You can say, we had so much success with this guy or that guy. Yes, it was a successful year, but as a receiver, when you know that the best plays are the plays you didn't expect. You know what I mean? The plays that coach didn't line up and say, Tanner, you're getting the ball. You just did your job and someone found you. Them the plays that, you can't sit up there and count for, and you don't get a lot of them with young guys. So, having that relationship with a quarterback, especially those older guys, it was almost like, stealing from a baby, man. But, we could talk all day about them quarterbacks. So we're going to send it back to you, BH.
I love it.
Appreciate y'all, fellas, for breaking down our QBs out on that field. Now, this offense is going to be fun to watch under offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. And our senior staff writer, Zach Selby's last article focuses on all of our valuable assets, specifically how veteran leadership will help shape this new Kingsbury system here in Washington. Now, Mariota and this QB room have a hell of an offensive coordinator in Cliff Kingsbury to learn from. Mariota talked to the media a little earlier and talked about how Cliff Kingsbury has pushed him and this entire QB room to be their very best.
Fun. I love it. I think, again, someone that's really incorporated what he loves to do, but also he tries to put each and every single one of us in the best position possible. So that may look different, right? It may look different for Jaden. It may look different for me. It may look different for Jeff or Sam. And also kind of depends on who's in there when they're skill guys. So when you're able to do that and be very versatile, especially as a play caller, I think that's really cool. And I think for us as players, it's a lot of confidence boosting.
It's been great. Just the offensive mind Cliff is, the type of coach he is, and how he can scheme things up. He has a very quarterback-friendly offense. Just for everybody in that room to go out there and be able to learn it, go out there and compete at a high level. Practice day, it's not something that you're going out there, you're worrying about, man, what is this, what is that? Cliff does a great job of just going out there and trying to make it as easy as possible, not only the quarterback, but the whole offense, so we can go out there and play fast.
Kingsbury is a dynamic play caller who no doubt worked with some versatile QBs, as you can see. Making the most of that versatility, Kingsbury and his quarterbacks become dynamic duos. Fellas, this weekend is Father's Day, and since we're all fathers, fathers need a little bit of love. So let's talk about father-son dynamic duos, because we got Sean Springs here, and your father played, man. How important was it for you to follow in his footsteps, man, and play an NFL player as well?
Yeah, my dad played 9 years in NFL, and for me, growing up in the Cowboys locker room made it possible, because when you see professional football players and then you realize that someone like Everson Walls, Danny White, I saw all those old Cowboy legends, they were like my dad's friends, uncles, and made it possible that I can be them one day. So following my father's footsteps and getting his advice over the years made it a good thing.
And Tanner, for you, your father didn't play, but however, you paved the way for your brother. Your brother, man, he came on, we had him on the show earlier, man. How cool is that to be not necessarily his role model, but somebody that paved the way for somebody that was just your brother?
It was dope. I think when you look at it, you always want to be an inspiration to the people that comes behind you. And it was my household that I had 2 younger brothers, and I was always left alone with them because parents out there hustling, doing their thing, working hard for you to make sure we had, they had ends meet. And I took pride in making sure that I showed or led them well, especially being in the neighborhood we was in. They could have went left or right. I chose to go right. I was hoping that they come right too. So I tried to show them the good step or the good foot, put the good foot, forward. And my brother followed. Sonoris, I was kind of skeptical. I didn't think he was gonna follow because he didn't have interest early, but he found, he was always talented. So it was great just to see him follow. And it made me feel proud just hearing some of the things from him and my other younger brother, just knowing that, hey man, our brother was right there, so we knew that we can do the same thing.
And it's one thing to pave the way for your brother. It's another thing to pave the way for your offspring, for your kids. Now, Fred, you have all your kids are athletes. Your daughter is a superstar basketball player. Your son plays football. You got people that are following in your footsteps, man. How cool is it to see your kids pick up that bug and be athletes as well?
It's crazy because I remember we took our family on a ride with us, to go to college, to go this, and they had to go places they never would have go if it weren't for that football there. And now I get to sit back, and my daughters is taking me on the ride. Now I have to go to all the AAU things with her, do this. She the number 4 basketball player in the state of Virginia, and I find myself in the stands crying sometimes. I be trying to hide it, because it's emotional. And I love the fact that she was open to take that challenge, because all siblings don't like to walk in big footsteps like that. She takes it, she's moving forward, I enjoy it.
And Sean, Tanner, you guys have kids as well, man. How cool is it seeing them go through their individual sports journeys? I'll start with you.
It's great, because you get to take some of the lessons that I learned from my dad, and I can pass it on to my kids and my twins, my 2 oldest boys, who played in college and moved on, and now I got one more son and a daughter that's playing sports as well, so I'm just enjoying the ride, man. It's really fun to give them great advice.
It's good. I think it has its pros and cons. You have kids that might be named after you, so it's always difficult for them. But then, my oldest son, he was a junior, and he chose his own route. He didn't want to play ball. He said, hey, I'm going to go to school, I'll finish school. But then when you have other kids and you saying to yourself, look, you try to teach what you learn or let them know what you learned through the game of football or through sports, period. And so I'm always striving to make sure that they understand that this is bigger than you becoming an athlete or being a professional athlete. I want you to learn the things that I learned, the discipline, commitment, how it is to
sacrifice,
persevere, stuff like that. And I think they're learning that as the years go on.
Yeah, man, and that's what I love about Command Center is that real life insight that you guys give. And you know what? We got something special cooking for our Commanders family. We have a live show tomorrow, Friday, 7 p.m. at Franklin Hall. We're going to be in D.C., baby, man. How excited are y'all to do the Command Center podcast live in front of your fans? And it's free.
I'm looking forward to it. I know they come to see this crazy. this nut here, you know what I mean? But one of the things about the things that we do in the community with some of the Q&As, the things that the team put on, you get a great turnout. So I'm hoping and praying that we have one of them large turnouts.
I just want to feel the energy in there. Like sometimes you wait on the football season to walk in a stadium to feel the energy of a crowd. Where at Franklin Hall, it'll be the energy of a crowd, and it'll be live, and you can access anything. We're going to answer anything.
Well, you got to be careful with your accent. Got to be careful with your accent.
Well, you know what, Shaw? Hopefully you pull up, man. Commanders family, hopefully you guys pull up. But if you can't make it to Friday, we will see y'all next week.
Join me as I take a deep dive into the least insulted ticketing app in history, SeatGeek. Did SeatGeek invent the ticket?
No, but we do make them work.
Drum roll, please. Ooh, how do I use the Seat View feature?
It shows seats with a pole blocking the view. Don't buy those.
What if I want to sit behind a pole?
Buy those.
Join me as I bore you to death with a series of interviews about a ticketing app that just does what it's supposed to do.